Welcome to the Ergo2go podcast, brought to you by the Back School and Ability on Demand. I'm your host, Matt Jeffs. We bring you interesting people from the world of ergonomics, on-site injury prevention, risk management, health, safety, well-being, and a whole lot more. Don't forget to subscribe below and click on the little bell in the upper right-hand corner to get the latest info on the overlapping fields of ergonomics, health and safety, risk management, human resources, and healthcare right here on the Ergo2go podcast. Today's guest has been and continues to be an august member and faculty of the Back School. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the Ergo2go podcast, Doctor of Occupational Therapy, Jamie McGaha. Jamie, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, Matt.
It's good to have you. It's been fun talking about some of the things we have mutual interest in. And you provided some of your pearls, the things that you enjoy for yourself and your own self-practice. But I thought we would get into a little bit of advisement here, maybe some of the things that the people watching and listening should consider as far as their own self-care. And the one in particular, again, that interest has been an interest of mine, and I see it's an interest of yours as well, is hydration. Tell us a little bit about what you recommend to people as far as hydrating themselves.
Right. So, it's so important that we stay hydrated. It's really important for our tissues. It's important for your mind too. It's amazing how much dehydration can mess with your concentration, your focus, headaches, not feeling well. But I am a big believer in bringing a water bottle with you to work. I think that you should have a water bottle with you. I think it should be a refillable one, so we're helping a little bit of the environment as well. And I'm 5 feet tall. I'm not very big. I try and drink close to 80 ounces of water a day, okay? I don't always get there, 72 sometimes, but based on kind of your weight and your height, how much water should you be drinking a day? And it's a quick little search on the internet on how much water should I drink a day. 8 glasses for some people, that's enough. Sometimes you need more. My husband's almost 6'5". He needs more water than that.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you stay hydrated. And, for those people who hate drinking water, you can use the electrolyte packets if that's for you, or the little flavored packets. I do try and make sure they're not full of chemicals. I don't like additives. I don't like those colored things. There's some natural ones sweetened with stevia if you're really into that, so it's no calorie. But learn to love water.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. That is true. We, what are we? It depends on who you cite, but we're about 2/3 water, something like that, and salt water to make it even more so. And I remember reading somewhere for a lecture or something that 90+% of our dry weight is really just collagen. It's just one molecule. It's one protein. So all of that water is what keeps everything else healthy. It's interesting you mentioned the psych component. I forgot about that. We get cloudy, we get foggy when we get dehydrated.
Mm-hmm. And I find, I tell my patients who have any joint issues, whether it's just pain or whether an injury, water, because all of that synovial fluid inside that joint dries up and shrinks if you are dehydrated. And you can do the quick little, pinch test on your finger. Does it stay dented in if you pinch to see if you're dehydrated? I have workers do that,
Right.
while they're out in the field. And it's like, hey, how long have you been out there and have you not drinking any water? And I try, and for the people who are bad at it, just make it a habit. It's been half an hour. Have you taken a sip of water today? Because you need to.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We used to also, I worked in a very hot place at a paper mill for a long time as their on-site therapist. And we talked about the history of Oxymel going all the way back to Hippocrates and how it then became what was it called, Switchel in the Northeast, and then Haymaker's Punch. Basically, it was Gatorade before Gatorade was invented, and it can be made with a little bit of apple cider vinegar and a little bit of fruit juice and the rest water. Like you say, find a recipe that you can get down. It shouldn't be something forced.
No, it shouldn't. And those new water bottles that have like the little cylinder in the middle that you can put lemons or limes or strawberries and it will naturally diffuse your water. It feels like drinking fancy water.
Yeah.
So I have clients come in and they need the fancy water. If that helps you get fancy water, get the fancy water bottle. You can find them fairly inexpensively all over the place these days.
Yeah, there's no harm in that. Whatever works best for getting it down. I think you make a good point about it was that six, we would all hear that 8 glasses and it would be like, oh no, well, it's just like exercise and activity we talked about in the last segment. Make a chore an exercise by just doing it a little with a little more effort, and suddenly it's two birds with one stone.
Yeah, and I'm
Um,
a goal setter, so I was always terrible at drinking water. I'll be very honest about it. So then I made a goal, like I will refill this bottle at least once today. Once was my goal for like a whole year.
yeah, yeah.
You can make your own goal, and I now am to 4 times a refill a day. So
It's good stuff. Very good stuff. What about like things like movement breaks at work or at home or at travel? How do you grab some wherever you can?
yeah, I recommend to almost all my workers, especially I've spent the last couple years primarily doing office ergonomics, stretch break every 30 minutes, set a timer to set your outlook. If you have a software program on your computer, RSI Guard or a different one, then make sure you don't ignore it because our bodies are made to move. And I actually go back to what the Back School's founder, Ron Porter, always told me is that when you're sitting in one position for a really long time, you have decreased blood flow to that area, sometimes by up to 60%. And that's why you feel stiff when you get up after not moving for a while because that tissue is then dehydrated. It's not nourished.
Right.
So every 30 minutes be moving. For my workers that maybe are moving a little more like construction or auto assembly line, I make sure when they are, when they're, able to take a break, it's a stretch break specifically to change the body position they've been in. For my office worker, it might be just get up and move. For my construction worker or my flooring installer that's been on their knees, it's get up and do a hamstring stretch. And every time you've been doing a task where you tile, you need to be getting up to do a hamstring stretch every 30 to 45 minutes.
Wow, good stuff. Very good stuff. What about like mindfulness breaks? How do you work that into the working day? You any advice there?
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I think that's probably one of the hardest things that I can educate people on. It takes a little effort to make sure you take a break to do it, but it doesn't have to be a long mindfulness break. I personally find getting into a quiet place, closing eyes is a good technique to have a lot of people do. For some people, I recommend that they put in, earbuds and do maybe 1 minute of calming music or the beach or waves or stream, whatever takes you to a place that you can go inside yourself and take a moment to recenter for the day, to focus on what is your goal here for the day? Is the goal to get out as fast as, to get done with work as fast as you can and get home? Maybe it is, but what are you getting home to? What's your centering goal? And so for my guys in the field or my ladies in the field where they might have more of a, got to get it done, time is money, got a whole house to frame before the end of the day, they might take their mindfulness break, I tell them, on the way to work. They might take their mindfulness break at lunchtime or on the way home from work. I'll find a place that I can look at your schedule with you and say, you can fit it in, but you have to be able and willing to say, I will.
Yeah, there has to be the commitment there to begin with. But those are pearls. Those are some really good ideas. I didn't think about sometimes it's just if you've got the opportunity, it may be on the commute. It really will. I know sometimes when I'm on the highway, I like to look just over the hood of the vehicle and watch the incoming road. Now, peripherally, I still see everything going on, and I'm not suggesting that in city traffic, but often on the open road, that can be just a kind of a nice little breathe with it and everything, and steal a little time here and there, so to speak. There's
Yeah,
another
if
thing.
people have windows,
Go ahead.
people have windows, I try and use the window for that same thing, but not everyone I know has the luxury. Maybe they're inside a cubicle in a basement. So, but if you have a window, use that window kind of that same way the hood of the car.
Yeah. It may even be just a house plant next to them or something like that. You're right. Some connection with the natural world. You also here's an area where I wanted to ask you. Applying a fitness tracker. I have no experience with that, but you've got some ideas as far as applying one at work or at home or at travel. Could we explore that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not a personal Fitbit or Apple Watch user. I don't care to have things on my wrist, just a sensory aversion. But I do think if you use one of those things, they're awesome. And they can help track things, whether it's steps per day, heart rate, blood pressure. And I love them for the people who have them and use them. I think there are also some great apps out there. There's MyFitnessPal, there's MyPlate, there's 100 other ones that you can download, oftentimes for free, that you can then track, how much am I moving? What's my blood pressure? What's my weight? What's my water intake? How many carbs? What was my snack? And it holds you accountable. If it's tracked somewhere and you have to look at it, you have to enter it, you have to be constantly, where it dings or vibrates on you, it gives you a way to hold yourself accountable to being healthy, being mindful about your body, being mindful about the activities and the habits that you do on a day-to-day basis. Do I need to change here? Do I need to adjust a few things to make myself feel a little better over on this end instead?
Makes total sense. This is the kind of thing we could definitely expound on, and the lifestyle medicine approach, especially as I work Tai Chi into physical therapy practice, and you work yoga into yoga practice. In the few moments we have remaining, are there ways that there are some overlap between these areas that you see, that you apply?
Oh, I definitely think so. I think I've actually, the more and more I've practiced not only different types of yoga, but just the longer I've done it and put it more into my day-to-day life and routine, the more I have actually to integrate into my clinical practice or into my ergonomics practice for other individuals. For example, not just the breathing and the being mindfulness, but are you doing something maybe that's part of a routine or integrated into your day-to-day habits that benefits you? We don't have a ton of emphasis on making ourselves not only accountable, but able to manage our own conditions that we're dealing with, whether that's a physical condition, an environmental condition, an emotional condition, whether it's the conditions we live in on a day-to-day basis. And so by kind of being able to educate patients and show them, or educate workers and show them how these things might overlap, intersect, and interact with one another, then we can come up with a plan that's individual to that person that really helps them make a change that's beneficial to them. And I'm a big believer on that self-management, staying accountable, staying mindful within yourself in order to be better physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of those things.
Man, that is just so eloquently put. I really appreciate that. And I feel the same way and try my best to offer that to others as well. Jamie, if people want to learn more about the important work you're doing, what's the best way for them to reach you? Should they reach out to the back school and maybe call the 800 number or the website? Or are there any others, or is that the best way?
Absolutely. You're welcome to reach out to the back school. They can always forward you to my email specifically. I'm available at a couple different emails these days.
Yeah.
So they can forward you to that one. My main work one that you can always reach me at is simply my name, jamie.mcgaha@health1cares.com, and Health One Cares is usually pretty easy to remember. So you're welcome to reach me there as well. I'm always happy to not only answer questions but give suggestions. I think one of the biggest questions I get are typically from patients that reach out to me through the Arthritis Foundation or other arthritis kind of maybe topics I talked about somewhere in the community, asking how they can work to self-manage their chronic condition, whether it's osteorheumatoid, lupus, and I love dealing with those types of things as well, and trying to help you make a plan for your life to be better.
Well, you're a wealth of information, and I think easily we could do this for hours. So short of that, I'd love to see about you coming back on the podcast, and we can go further into these topics. There's a lot of ground to cover, and it's obvious that you've got a lot to share. Can we have you back sometime?
Oh, I'd love to come back, Matt.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, listen, it's been a real pleasure. Let me go ahead and sign out, and we'll talk a little bit further. But to those of you who are listening and watching, you've been listening to and watching the Ergo2go podcast. I'm your host, Matt Jeffs, brought to you by the Back School and Ability on Demand. We bring you interesting people like Dr. Jamie McGaha, people from the world of ergonomics, on-site injury prevention, health, safety, well-being, and a whole lot more. more. Don't forget to subscribe below and click on the little bell in the upper right-hand corner to get the latest info from the overlapping fields of ergonomics, health and safety, risk management, human resources, and healthcare right here on the Ergo2go podcast. Until next time, let's stay safe, let's stay smart, let's stay helpful, and let's get to work. See you next time, everybody. Take care.